You are about to enter a great adventure.
This is Starting from Gorilla.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Strutting from Gorilla. I am Mikey Cash, and with me, as always, in the a-hole chair, Big Vito. Good to see you again, my man.
What's going on, Mikey Cash? We're ready to rock and roll today, or what?
Dude, we are ready to rock. We actually have a lot to talk about. So today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the WrestleMania press conference, which I think had everybody buzzing. We're going to be talking about Big Business from AEW in Boston, which Big Vito and myself are hopeful to get to in a couple of weeks. And we're also going to touch on a pretty baffling decision by TNA to fire Scott D'Amore after the guy basically resurrected the company. So that's pretty much what we got on the docket for you guys. Vito, anything you want to add today?
You know, I'll just say with the Scott D'Amore thing, it's like nothing is as positive as death taxes and wrestling just screwing shit up every now and then. You know what I mean? It like just always happens. I don't understand it. I felt like they were like on the rise. Like they were the hot promotion outside of WWE. And I don't know. I just wanted to point that out.
That's true. I mean, if it's, I feel like we could just touch on this now. I mean, we don't have to give too much time, but Scott D'Amore, I think we talked about this. I think of a couple episodes ago, and I've been tweeting it out as much as I can. And you know me, I'm not really much of a tweeter, but it's amazing that the company fired somebody who was just such a staunch foundation for that company. This guy was working so diligently to try to get TNA kind of back to some of the glory days that it had. And the man has an unbelievable ability to build relationships in the wrestling world. So it's really kind of baffling to me that they would take out somebody like that. I mean, look who was TNA not working with at one point? It was everybody, and everybody enjoyed working with them. So I really don't understand from their point of view why they would do it. Now, I did see some reports that I guess something that led to the decision was he tried to buy the company outright, just actually offered to buy money. He even had a backer, and they essentially turned it down and then fired him. So I don't know if this was kind of a retaliation move or what, but
yeah, I also read something not along those lines, but it was more of he was really pushing to spend more money because they were building momentum after bringing, a woman
Ziggler?
wrestler. What's that?
Ziggler?
Well, bring in Ziggler, but also bring in was it Jordy Grace?
Well,
Jordan Grace into WWE, the Royal Rumble, like the TNA name was out there. And he's like, listen, this is our time. We need to spend more money, and this is how we're going to ascend in the rankings. And they were like, no, we're not doing it. We're actually trying to cut money and blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of what I feel ultimately led to his demise, which doesn't make any sense. It's just, it's stupid. I'll never understand it, Mikey.
Yeah, I get it. I don't really understand it either, but I guess it's just wrestling being wrestling. It seems like from social media, people are really having a tough time with it in the locker room at TNA. So I really worry about kind of an uprising because of what's going on with him, because it seems like he just was such a heart and soul for them that now with him gone, it's a real deflator of a move.
Yeah. Does he go to TNA now? I feel like that could be a good fit for him. I mean, does he go to TNA? Does he go to AEW now? It could be a good fit for him because I feel like Tony Kahn, and we talk about it all the time, just doesn't have the wrestling business prowess that everyone else has. He's more of a fan, and maybe if you add him, he could put some direction into this a little bit. I don't know. I for me, it would be kind of interesting if they did that. I think it would be a good fit for AEW.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could. I mean, I really don't know where this guy's going to end up. Maybe he'll end up back in TNA at some point, just in a different capacity. Who knows? Because maybe the blowback will be so bad that they'll need to bring him back. So
yeah,
we'll see. But I felt like it was a big enough story that we couldn't really just have an episode and not talk about it, because I really do like TNA. And I never thought I would find myself saying that if you talked to me back in 2010 to 2012.
Hey, listen, you know my feeling. I think we were out at a bar one day and I said, hey, man, you need to check out TNA. It was good stuff. And you were like, all right.
I know. I messed up. It was a mistake and I've rectified it now.
Well, they went through periods. It was good, like really good when Jeff Jarrett started it. And then, it kind of went downhill after a while. I think basically around the time Hulk Hogan and Bischoff came in. And then it's taken a while to build back up, but they've gotten to a point where they're probably the number 3 promotion in the US. And I feel like they had a shot where they could overtake AEW. I don't think they have the backing, the money backing that Tony Khan has. So, and that's clear, obviously.
Right. So more to come on that, but sorry to Scott D'Amore. Condolences for that. It's just such a bummer move.
It is.
So, well, let's move on to. Should we move on to some business? Perhaps should we move on to some big business coming to Boston?
Sure.
So Tony Khan's big announcement, which, I mean, as far as big announcements go, this was one of the bigger ones that he's had. But
in the words of the famous Mango, I think we've quoted him like 3 episodes in a row. But if every big announcement is not a big announcement, there's no big announcements.
Yeah. So I think really what he did was he threw out this graphic up there that said big business. And I didn't really notice it at first, but then on social media, people were zooming in at the bottom of the graphic and it had the Boston, like you see here in our headline. And as soon as that happened, it's like he's already given it away. He kind of knows, hey, if you come to this show, there's going to be someone there who is kind of a boss. And it's going to be Sasha or Mercedes Moné. So I'm pumped. I really want to go. And
yeah, I know. We were looking at tickets, and if it wasn't for Ticketmaster, which we could go on a whole tirade, or I could at least about Ticketmaster, we probably would have been there sitting pretty,
Yeah.
But we're still working on it, so hopefully we'll be there. And I mean, it makes sense, right? I just want this Sasha thing or Monet thing to be over, right? Like Mercedes Moné thing to be over. Like I just want her to come back. Like at this point, the buildup has been so big, it's going to be a letdown. And I just want her to come back. My concern though is like, let's say she does come back to AEW. I just hope they know what they're doing over there, because they have not had a proven track record of giving women wrestling a shot. Like Britt Baker, hottest thing going they had, and now it's like dead. Like you don't even see her. And so I really do hope they are able to capitalize on having her there. That's the only thing I hope. I mean, if you brought her back to WWE right now, their women's division is so hot, she could go in a million different directions. But in AEW, not the same. We talk about it all the time, but it would still be great to have her back, coming back in kind of her home city, right? So, and I know you'd be really excited. She might get the biggest pop from Mikey Cash at the show.
She definitely will. I have been such a staunch Mercedes fan for a long time. And, speaking on something you said, Vito, she's lost a lot of momentum because she had that injury last year. She was in the New Japan Strong tournament with Willow Nightingale, and that match is phenomenal. People should go back and watch it. They air it for free now on YouTube. And when she breaks her ankle, it's like, it's just so deflating, because you could tell they were going to give her the title and she was probably going to have some sort of run and maybe help establish New Japan in America here and that sort of the Strong promotion that they got going on. But now it's just been a ton of speculation. I mean, she breaks her ankle. She ends up showing up at All In London. And like, we thought maybe something will come of that. And then months and months have passed and nothing ever happened. So I'm really interested to see what they do with her once she's in this women's division, which I will say, as someone, listen, I've been pretty critical of AEW and how they book the women's division, but I will give credit where it's due. In the last couple of months, I've noticed some improvement in the way they're presenting the women. I think how it took this fucking long, but there has been some movement. They're clearly hearing a lot of that criticism, and maybe it's coming from the locker room itself, where the women are saying, "Hey, we need a fucking shot here. You're not really giving us much to work with." So, I mean, the stories with Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale and Stokely Hathaway. I don't know if you watch any of the stuff on Dynamite, but Stokely Hathaway kind of cracks me up. He's awesome. He's awesome. What did he call Chris Statlander? Thicker than a Snicker. It was just like, I was dying. So he's got really great timing, and I like the work that they're doing there. Obviously, with Sky Blue and Julia Hart, that's a good storyline going forward. And just as an aside, recently at the Super Bowl, who was there together? It was Bayley, Britt Baker, and Mercedes. So I kind of wonder if maybe Britt Baker and Mercedes are going to do something first when she debuts in AEW. Who knows? But all I know is I believe personally that this is going to be a good thing for the women's division, because you have a WrestleMania main eventer now.
Yeah, and you know what? She'll probably get her wish, right? She wanted to be the star in WWE, and it's just so polluted with good talent there. I think she goes to AEW, and there's a lot more runway, right? Like they can focus on her a lot. So maybe that is the aspect, or maybe he's just trying to swerve all of us, and it's going to be Ted DiBiase that comes out as the surprise in Boston.
Or it's going to be Okada. I mean, he is the Rainmaker.
Or Vince McMahon, right?
Yeah.
Vince McMahon, the boss.
I can't handle that.
It wouldn't be. There's no way Khan would do that.
No, not at all. But I do wonder who else is going to be there. There's a lot of rumors, speculation. You know how it is, where Okada might be there. I didn't know who else might be showing up. I mean, maybe this is the official debut for Will Ospreay too, because I know he's just finishing up in New Japan. This is gearing up to be, hopefully, a big show.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Hopefully we can get tickets and we'll be there. And then we can give a full report firsthand of all the action. Let me ask you another question, because I have a feeling this will probably be related to Big Business. How do you feel about Sting and Darby Allin as tag champs?
I think I'm fine with it. I believe that it was probably long overdue, especially because they're trying to bring back these rankings and make them mean something. So the only way to have it mean anything is you got this tag team that's been undefeated for like months and months, and they haven't had one single title shot.
Yeah,
you had to do something. And I mean, I don't know what this means for like Big Bill and Ricky Starks moving away from this, but it seems like they just got quickly dethroned, and now the Bucks are now back within the picture of trying to get those titles. So I get it, because that's the matchup for Revolution, but I kind of just feel bad for those two guys that just got hosed.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You know, I kind of look at it too. Like, I was listening. There's someone going on a rant on the interwebs about, you know, wrestlers over 40 having titles and yada yada yada. And, you know, for me, I don't really care. I just want to see the most intriguing people and the best matchups and stuff that gets me excited. And I think it is a good move, because WWE treated Sting so poorly. And now that, you know, I feel like AEW has done a really good job with him. They haven't overexposed him, but he's been there and they've treated him well. And I think it's good for his last run here. And honestly, it's probably past his last run, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, he could have had a good last run in WWE. Unfortunately, he got hurt and everything. But I think if you're going to do it, I think this is the best way to do it. And, you know, I don't give AEW a lot of credit lately, but I'll give them credit on how they've treated Sting and what they've done with him in his last run.
Yeah, they've put him in a lot of positions, just like you said, to thrive, and they're really not trying to, I think, overuse him to the point where you see the limitations in the ring. Obviously, it's present. I mean, you can't help it. Even in a limited capacity, you can tell. I mean, he's pretty winded, but What are you going to do? I mean, the guy's in his 60s. I can't expect him to be hoofing it like he did 30 years ago. You know, our expectations have to be managed there. However, I am glad that it's heading towards an end, because I think the longer it goes on, the more you put yourself at risk for something to happen, whether it's he messes something up and he hurts somebody or he hurts himself. That's really what I get concerned about. That's my biggest gripe with older wrestlers getting in the ring.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then I think the other piece on AEW that I would touch on, and we don't talk about him a lot. I know you have like a love-hate relationship with this particular individual, but JR, clearly is going through a lot. He's had like 2 different cancer stints, and I just feel bad for the guy. I've always been a JR fan, and I think for me, he's a big piece of wrestling in the last probably 4 decades, maybe 3 for sure. And yeah, I think he's probably past what he needs to be doing, but he still is like the creme de la creme of commentators, right? He's always been great at it. And he reminds me of wrestling in my childhood. And I think his time, what we've seen over the last couple of years, is dwindling, and you'd like to see him stay healthy. I listen to his podcast. I enjoy it. You get a lot of really good backstories from wrestling, and he does a good job with it. And I hope he stays healthy. That's really the key to it all.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so too. I think I don't know what it is about my view on just like there's got to be a time where guys got to say enough is enough, and I struggle with it, and I don't blame him for wanting to hold on, and maybe part of it's Tony too, where he wants JR to be a part of this because he was part of AEW's sort of like origin, but at some point it's time to move forward. And it doesn't mean that JR's accomplishments aren't appreciated. At the same time, look at who they have in the booth right now. I think they got a pretty decent commentary with Excalibur and Tony Schiavone and Taz. Personally, I want to see like a female commentator in there, but WWE is guilty of the same thing,
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that JR is on the mend. I'm glad that the cancer is getting cleared up. I obviously want him to be okay. I just think that his time as an on-air commentator is coming to a close. And
I think
that to happen.
I think we could make a whole case about that for multiple people in the wrestling business, right? I don't know what it is, but it's this like you never want to let go. I don't know if it's the adrenaline rush or if you've been doing it for so long. In JR's case, I mean, he lost his wife probably 10 years ago, maybe. I'm not sure when he did. And wrestling's been a big part of his life. And it's like, you've been doing it for that long. It's hard to let go. And I think for him, he was such a big backstage influence with the signings. I mean, you think about The Rock, you think about Stone Cold, the Brock Lesnar's, the Kurt Angles, like he was involved in a lot of that and the negotiations with them back when wrestling was big in the Attitude Era. So he had a big influence, and I think it's hard for him to let go when you get that adrenaline rush. But case could be made with anybody that has been in wrestling for that long. So, anyways, I don't want to go down a tangent. I want to bring that up because we haven't really touched on AEW too much, and that's a big one. Well, so, and I still don't know what's the deal with MJF here.
I think he's injured. I don't really know what. I'm actually, you know what? I don't know either. I was about to try to give some sort of answer, but I really have no idea what's going on with that dude. This is pro wrestling being pro wrestling, which is, I guess, a good thing. You're questioning, is he actually just injured and off? Is he injured and no longer has a contract? Is he a free agent? There's a lot of speculation about it.
I'll tell you dead what, though, quiet.
It's and this is what he did when he was gone last year. Remember that he went completely silent. So I think there's kind of a design here by MJF. I would imagine he has something to do with that. And
yeah, you're probably right. I just, you got the guy who's the hottest attraction in arguably not just AEW, but he's up there in all of the wrestling world, which that doesn't come. You'd think they would, if he was under contract, you'd have him involved even if he was hurt. You know what I mean? Somehow coming out, talking on the microphone, doing something. I'm baffled because I mean, you could arguably say he was as big as some of the stuff that WWE was doing, and I think AEW could use that. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything, and I just am kind of curious. I will tell you, subliminally, it has affected the amount of AEW that I watch, because I think I right now it was like the big thing for me. I enjoyed watching him, and he's gone. I'm like, okay, well, Dynamite's on. I'll take a quick peek, but it's yeah. I don't know that's just a 10,000-foot view,
That's okay. In terms of what I'm liking and what I'm not liking from AEW recently, I don't like Undisputed Kingdom. I wish I could say I did. I after months and months of this group essentially being a comedy act, and now I have to take them seriously. Besides the reveal, there's been nothing impactful about what they've done in my view.
Nope.
And there's already this sort of budding tension with Wardlow, and I'm thinking, well, you've already done this kind of story. You did it with MJF, and so now we're sort of already recycling it, but now we're recycling it kind of on fast forward, and I don't really like that. And perhaps it's just sort of luck of the draw. I maybe they were banking on Adam Cole not having like that horrific foot injury that he had. But speaking of using someone who's injured, it kind of deflates how effective this group can be, because no offense to Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, but I mean, those guys, so what? They're inconsequential to the group, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they're really good wrestlers. It's just, I feel like it was going to be built around Adam Cole, and you needed Cole to be healthy and wrestling. And I feel as though he's the one that can make an impact. And then the other guys sort of like feed off of that. It was very much like with Undisputed Era. It was built around Adam Cole, and then Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. And I always forget the last guy's name. Damn it. Anyway, but the bottom line is it was built around Adam Cole. And now look at what's going on. I kind of feel bad because I really want to like it, because I really like Adam Cole. And I do like all the other guys in the group too. It just feels like it's not working.
Well, I know. And I think, when Adam Cole was a babyface, everybody loved him. Like, he was hot, man.
Yeah.
He was hot. And I don't love the turn. I don't know if the whole injury to MJF screwed up that whole storyline. I don't know. But it didn't end very well, and I'm not liking the turn. It was a good build up, and everything was great, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
With anything else,
Here's going to be. This is my take on it. Actually, so it popped in my head as you were talking. So allow me a second, okay? The comparison might feel wild, but just bear with me.
You go.
So
you go, girl.
I think the reason why this heel turn from Adam Cole is not working is exactly why the heel turn from Stone Cold didn't work all those years ago. Because the hero that they turned on didn't stick around. The reason Austin's didn't work back in 2001 is he only had one match with Rock right that night after, and then Rock was gone. Yeah. He needed to have that hero there to really establish that heel persona. Because Agreed. Then they had people to cheer, and then they would have the guy to boo. Because that very night after WrestleMania 17, they booed the hell out of Stone Cold because they were cheering The Rock. But when you take the guy away that you have to cheer, now you kind of just start cheering for him again.
Yeah.
So I think in many ways we're seeing a similar principle happening with Adam Cole. If MJF was still there on TV weekly, and you had Adam Cole there, you would have the opportunity for the crowd to really just start booing the hell out of Adam Cole. And then they'd be getting behind MJF, who'd probably be cutting some killer promos on him. I just think that's the missed opportunity here. And not to say that they obviously didn't do it on purpose. They weren't banking on both of them being injured by the time this whole thing played out.
Right. No, you're spot on, dude. I don't disagree. That's a really good point. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that, and you're probably right. But I also think that it's one of those things where, like, Adam Cole was one of the better baby faces you had. I don't think taking him away and making him a heel was really the best move. Like, on top of it, even if MJF was still there, I still don't know if I would love it. Right? I don't know that I would. So,
yeah, but a time will tell. Hopefully, speedy recovery, and we can get him back sooner than later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay,
all right.
I think enough with this.
I know.
Covered what we wanted. Let's get to the main event.
Let's get to the Mania. All right, so some of the Mania at the WrestleMania press conference. Now, I'm sure everyone's already seen this already, because I mean, who hasn't? But I mean, that whole day just started off with a bang. Like, there was just so much to take away from this press conference. I mean, look how it started off. Just a brief glimpse. Let's just show you how the day started before this press conference even began.
What's that? Oh, Cody Crybabies. Yeah. That's what they're called.
Okay, all right. Okay, got it. I didn't.
So Rock was on Pat McAfee show earlier in the day, and he's already starting to throw shade. And I don't know about you, Vito, but when I first saw that, I was thinking to myself, all right, so Rock's kind of getting back in the mode. He's getting back in wrestling mode here, because the rest of that video, you guys can go check it out. He starts kind of pulling a promo. He's doing like classic, talking about himself in third person, which he doesn't always do anymore. So he was really getting into it and really, I think, leaning into this Cody Crybaby stuff. But what did you think when you first saw that?
I thought it was great.
Right.
I'm for the first time in a while, I'm like kind of lost. And I don't know that it's a bad thing, because I don't know if this was the plan all along, if it really was supposed to be Roman versus The Rock, and there was such big outcry that they were like, nope, we got to change it. Or if that really was just the plan. You read all these different things, and we really don't know. And you know what? I guess it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
To quote the man.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, right. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I liked it. I was confused at the presser and just had no idea what was going on. I'm not sure it answered a lot of questions, which I guess maybe that was the point, but I think it raised more questions between, like, okay, well, now what's Seth Rollins doing? Because that kind of is going down a weird path. And I do want to take a minute to talk about Seth Rollins as we go forward here. I'm not going to do it right now, but let's talk about this presser first.
Sure.
So The Rock turns heel and does it in a great fashion. You see him come out, everybody's chanting Rocky sucks, and even when he goes to do the finally, he kind of just looks around, and you got the feeling. And what's great about The Rock is he gets it. You know what I mean? He gets it. He doesn't have to sit there. And for a guy who's that big of a Hollywood star and get all this money, like, he doesn't have to do any of this. And I appreciate the fact that he does. I just, I think what made me upset about the situation was that I actually was looking forward to Roman versus The Rock at some point.
Sure.
And I also was very much looking forward to Cody versus Roman. And if they had done it where it was going to be The Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania, to me, it would have really screwed up both of the situations, because there's not enough build up for The Rock versus Roman, right? But it also takes away the storyline that they've been building up for a year. And more importantly, the guy won the Royal Rumble. What's the point of having the Royal Rumble if you're not going to let them be the main event? And so it's great that they're taking that storyline and using it. I just don't know where it goes or how you have either. So my final piece, I'll let you talk here, is I guess my thinking on this, and again, I could be wrong, is, you're going to get like a corporate Rock, bloodline Rock, and he's going to be on Roman Reigns' side. And maybe this is the long build where, he's on Roman's side moving into next year, and then turns on him somehow. And then you finally get your Rock versus Roman match. That's what I'm guessing. But I don't know.
Well, I think you're closer than you are further away from what might end up happening. There's, on that part of it, I will say, I think you're probably going to see that bloodline heel Rock, like you said. He's going to be aligned with Roman. Which, by the way, how quickly did that little bitch just get in line, huh? That was funny.
Which is funny.
He suddenly turned into Roman Uso, just oh, sure, I'm going to hang back here. You fight the battle, and I'll be right behind you. And he was behind him the rest of the show. The rest of the press conference, when he's even has the moment with Triple H, he's the one behind him. And then he has he talks some little line of shit to Triple H right before he left. But to speak on that, I think it's going to be really interesting if, when Rock said long game, this is probably what he's referring to. He's not talking about Cody. And I think people weren't really getting that. He's talking about the long game with him and Roman. And what's happening here is right now, Roman is Roman Uso right now. And for the time being, it will remain like that. But at some point, Roman is going to snap. And Roman, I think, is going to turn face. And this will be kind of a fun matchup, because I think Roman's going to realize he doesn't need anybody. He doesn't need the bloodline. He doesn't need Rock. There isn't anybody. It's just him. He's the one. Instead of we the ones, he's the one. And
that'll probably be what happens when Cody
Rock
gets
costs
the
them
belt.
The match at Mania.
Yeah, exactly
Rock is going to probably fuck it up somehow. Maybe by accident, maybe by design. That all remains to be seen. This is all conjecture. We don't really fucking know. But I do think that Rock may have something to do with him losing, or will, like, at least right after that, we'll just start like berating him or something. Like something's going to happen there where it's going to lead to the eventual split and then the build. So that's my take on that piece of it. I want to address a criticism, though, I think it's one of the biggest criticisms of this story so far, which is how it started. That SmackDown, that now it's going to be like an infamous SmackDown now, where Cody presumably like steps aside because he got counseled by The Rock. However, when you look at how this press conference turned out, Rock's development in his character and him turning into a heel, it explains it right then and there. Like you're already getting the explanation, which is, he was counseling him, but he was manipulating to get Cody out of the way so that he could have Roman. And he underestimated Cody. He thought that that he was the only one Cody was talking to. And then Cody says in the press conference, I had a lot of conversations. So Rock wasn't the only person he talked to. So he has this moment where Rock is like, I'm going to have this main event now, and Cody will step aside. And then he underestimated Cody. So I think it shows that, one, Rock is a great manipulator, or he thought he was. And two, that Cody was never really said, I'm not going to fight you. I mean, this whole thing was set up so that we would find out at the press conference, in which, to answer the other criticism of, did we get any answers? You did. The main event is set. Just saying.
Yeah. No, Mike, you're right on. I agree with you. The Oracle has spoken. Let's see.
We'll see.
But I also, the other piece of this that we don't talk about is Triple H. Like how phenomenal is it that just the Rock and Triple H's feud just seemingly never ends?
It picked right back up. Like the hatred.
And I love every second of it. The piece after the press conference, when the Rock interrupts Triple H's interview, was fantastic. And I don't know if that was planned or not. I have to assume it was, but I mean, it was spot on timing, and it was just great. And then Triple H comes out and just starts mocking the Rock on SmackDown, which is perfect. Like, ooh, and so you just wonder, how is that gonna translate into some of this here too? And for the first time in quite some time, Mikey, it feels real. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, there's some sort of real feeling about it, which you don't normally get anymore. And it's like, for the first time I was questioning, I was like, ooh, is this real? Do they not really like each other? Is there really some tension going on? And it's like, you don't get that anymore. And it's great to see.
Maybe Rock's a better actor than we gave him credit for.
Yeah. Listen, you don't need to question that with me. I mean, I think he is a good actor, and maybe Triple H is too. That's the thing. Like, and the other piece about Triple H, man, the guy doesn't miss a beat on the microphone. Like, he really doesn't. It's refreshing to hear him talk. I don't know what it is. There's something refreshing about him on the microphone.
He reminds me, well, Kevin Owens reminds me of Triple H in that he's so good on the mic. He's so natural. It never feels like what he's saying is a scripted promo.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it is. And you almost feel like, is Triple H gonna lace him up one more time? I mean, I know he's got like a pacemaker, and I doubt he's going to, but like you almost get that feeling, right? Like,
yeah. You bet he wish he could.
Oh,
now that Rock is there and available, it's like, oh, we finally get to do this, and now I can't do it.
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking, but
it is.
What did you think of like the style of that press conference? Because I feel like there was a lot of talk about that, and I felt really like, I don't know, they're kind of taken aback by them trying something new, the way they did that.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I had no problem with it. Something different. What I liked about it too is that it wasn't just thrown together. Like, it was clearly planned out. I mean, I'm going to show this picture because you put it up here, but like even the commentators, like you didn't have like B people. I mean, you had CM Punk, you had Michael Cole, you had Pat McAfee, and you had Big E, which it was great to see Big E up there. And they started it off, and even just that segment was great. Like having Punk on there, you just get the feeling like you're almost like, what's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? Like you just don't even know. And even Big E started it off, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just here to make sure CM Punk doesn't get fired."
Which is even better now that they can make that joke. It's amazing.
Yeah. And so I thought the style was good. It was a little bit awkward at times, because I don't think they'd done something like this before.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I thought it was really cool, and it was only an hour. Probably could have been a half hour realistically, but it was only an hour. They did it right in NFL Super Bowl time in Las Vegas, and I liked that there was a live crowd. It was cool. I thought it was fine. And I don't know if this will work all the time because of just the people you had up there. But ultimately, I thought it was great. And even the ending when Punk, said something about The Rock, and The Rock's still on stage and kind of hurt him. Like, I just thought it was good. Yeah. Overall, it was good, man.
There was Punk on commentary was actually great.
Awesome.
I forgot how good he is.
It's awesome.
There's one little clip. I just got to show it because it's like 14 seconds long. Let's just drop it in.
Really good point, though. Rock is on the board.
Well, yeah.
So even, I mean, so Cody just got slapped by his boss. His boss put his hands on him. I'm throwing hands.
Yeah,
I'm whipping everybody's ass. I don't care who it is.
Here's the thing, though.
I thought that was perfect, and it was just such a great almost callback, and him just kind of making fun of his own history too. Like I'm punching everybody. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It was awesome. And again, people were saying things on that commentary team, and I'm like, ooh, is that supposed to be said? Like, ooh, like again, it just felt real, and I liked it. And I think you brought up the point that you made it seem like they wanted to be more UFC-esque, which I mean, again, you can't really be UFC because these guys are entertainers. They're almost actors, right? And it's not a real fight. But I liked the style. It was different. It worked for this main event. I don't know if it'll work for others, but let me ask you a question though, Mike. What are your feelings on Seth Rollins in all of this? Like, he's kind of just taken a back seat in the main event picture, and like, what are your thoughts? And I'll tell you mine.
I think part of what's going on with Seth is, I want to say by design, because I think he probably knew already what the plan was going to be, that was going to be the big draw for the event. And I also think that they're trying to hedge their bets a little bit if he's not ready for Mania. So I don't know if it's in their best interest to really put too much behind whatever match he's going to have because of that. And it's not because I think Seth Rollins isn't great. I think he absolutely deserves a WrestleMania main event. The guy has been, like he said, he's a workhorse. He is the modern day Macho Man of our generation. It's the outfits, it's his character, it's everything about it. He's that kind of guy. And I think just like Macho Man, he was very underappreciated because you always focused on the Hogan. You always focused on the big man, the Roman. So I think that's just my kind of view on Seth. But I do think we'll have some more answers after Elimination Chamber. Whether or not he's going to be involved in a tag match or not, I don't know if he's even cleared for that. but they are having a men's chamber match. So I think that's going to be leading to whoever the number one contender is going to be, which I hope is Drew.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to see how that pans out too. I love it started. I want to say it's like Seth Rollins' like rise here really started when he faced Cesaro a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened, but something happened at that moment, and they put on a great match at WrestleMania, and it was like cut short. It's like in the middle of the card, but like the build-up was great, and Seth's promos were fantastic. But over the last, like, even his battles with Cody, like, he has been so good on the microphone. Everything he does feels extremely authentic. And I don't know if that's by design, because he probably does feel the exact way that he's saying. Like, he felt probably the exact way about Punk when he was building that, which I'm sad that that's not going to happen, because it's going to lose a little bit of steam. I'm not saying it's still not going to be good when it happens, but like, Punk could just come in. People still, you don't know if you didn't like him or not. I think by the time he gets healthy and they do have that main event, people, he may have reconciled everything and be back to normal. But like, you had this authentic feeling of him. He could screw everything up, you know what I mean? And he is coming back to WWE, and it's not his territory anymore. And you could feel the hatred with Seth in that promo. And we talked about it a few episodes ago. And so I'm a little bit sad that that's not going to happen like right now. And I'm sure they are too. But I think on the other side of it, what I do love is that, he's saying everything that most wrestling fans feel. Like, these main eventers coming back, or these stars coming back and stealing main events and all of that. And he's hitting a piece that I think was kind of taboo. A lot, like, we all knew it was happening, but nobody talked about it, right? And I think it's great, and I think he does feel that way, just like a lot of other people do, And so I think his promos are so authentic, and just great. Like, I think they're awesome, and he's backing it up with the work he does in the ring. Like, he hasn't had, most of his matches have been must-see matches over the last few years. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is the injury, and he might not be ready for Mania. Maybe it's, I just don't know where he goes at this point. And maybe it will be Drew McIntyre that wins. That would be a good one. Who else is in the runnings for that? I think you're gonna see
LA Knight.
He lost. No, he won't. He hasn't wrestled yet. But I have a feeling they're setting up for him not to be in that title picture. I think it's going to be him versus AJ Styles, which would actually be a good match, because
I'll take that.
Me too, because AJ Styles will make LA Knight look pretty good in the match. That honestly wouldn't be a bad match, but I got that feeling from the SmackDown last week when he interfered. Who else? Bobby Lashley.
I think Bobby Lashley could be a really good matchup for Seth.
They've already had some
the United States title that were really good.
Yeah, they had some great matches already. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it can shape up and be a really good story. My personal opinion, I think Drew McIntyre is doing some of his best work. So I would want to reward that. And maybe they do too, by giving him some sort of title match in front of people. Just the thought, at a WrestleMania. I mean, the poor guy was at the Performance Center wrestling Brock Lesnar, and that was just like womp womp. So he deserves something. Not that everybody gets what they deserve in pro wrestling. I kind of feel like he's really earned it in a way.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Yeah, we'll have to see. I also think Gunther versus Seth would have been a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's the Intercontinental Champion. I just I think they'd put on a banger.
Yeah, maybe SummerSlam. Who knows? There's a lot of time. He can drop a title to somebody. He's fighting. He's probably going to fight Jey Uso at Elimination Chamber. So I don't know if they have Jey walk away with the IC title and then have him and Jimmy fight at WrestleMania, but I mean, I probably wouldn't make that move. I would just keep it brother versus brother. Doesn't need a title.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. Well, either way, the WrestleMania seemed like it's setting up to be pretty good. I do think we need a little bit little bit more outside of this storyline. Obviously,
sure.
you got the Judgment Day and R-Truth and some sort of storyline, which has been pretty good.
R-Truth's been one of my favorite on-screen characters recently. He just shows up everywhere and has no idea where he is, and he just has zero like recognition of his surroundings. I saw somebody post online. There was Rock posting that big picture of the bloodline, and at the bottom it just said "End R-Truth," and he was just on there on the stage, dying. But he's so good. But to kind of speak on just one last point about the press conference, and I agree with you. We do need more build. I think we're going to get it. The way their presentation has shifted, and you can see it in even like their backstage segments. They always have these shots of when people arrive to the arena now, which is very sports like. Yeah. When you're watching a pre-show and people are showing up for the game, like what are they wearing? Who are they coming in with? Like there's more of that focus, which does make it feel more of like a sport, even though it's sports entertainment. But and something else that I'm noticing, and from the top down, is they're calling it pro wrestling again. I don't know if you realize that, but if you listened to a lot of that promo that Rock had, he talked about wrestling. He didn't talk about sports entertainment. He talked about wrestling. And again, it kept getting mentioned even on commentary. So I think there's a concerted effort there to, I don't know if it's a Vince thing because they're trying to move away from him kind of coining that phrase of sports entertainment. So maybe going back to pro wrestling is a PR move, but regardless of why what their motivation is, I'm pleased with it. I enjoy that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I didn't notice that. I mean, I've heard them say it, but I didn't know it was like a concerted effort to go that route. But I'm fine with it too. I mean, call it for what it is. Like, you know what I mean? What are we doing? Like,
there was nothing more pro wrestling than what happened at that press conference. That was a pull them apart. They got on each other's face. It was a slap. Punk wants him to punch Rock, which was great. That, like you said, that clip of like, I wish I could find it, but like him just looking across the stage, he just turns over and looks at Punk being like, I would have punched Rock in the face. Does anybody want to see him get punched? It was really great. But I gotta say, man, this version of heel Rock, and you know how much I love the Rock, so like some of this is just me gushing, but at the same time, this is like a new development in that character. It seems like much more deeper. It's not just the Hollywood Rock, I'm bigger than you. Now it's like I'm Hollywood Rock and I'm kind of the boss now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's more like a corporate Rock.
He's got that. Yeah, it's like an amalgam of both.
Yeah,
and it's like the worst characteristics of both that he's going to have. And he's also just developed as, I think also it's like a thinking man's wrestler, because he knows that he's probably going to be kind of limited in the ring. Like as in great shape as he is not the wrestler that he once was.
No.
So he needs to make up for it in his storytelling. Yeah. And I think this is kind of what you're seeing there. And maybe that's just me being an apologist. I've been guilty of that before.
No, but I've thought about this too, Mikey. I think The Rock has been this shining diamond in the people's eyes for 10, 15, 20 years now. And recently, over the last probably 6 months to a year, you haven't gotten that same feeling from him. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was the Oprah thing and he had that bad press or whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm not saying he's not this big star still, but like it was almost like he could do no wrong. And you're not getting that feeling. So, to go along with his heel turn in wrestling, I think this is only going to help him, because there are people that were already feeling like, all right, I've had enough of The Rock. Like, I feel like he's a phony type thing. And now he comes in, he goes heel style. And I think what happens after you do that and you do something great, people respect you more. And I think it like resets the button. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think that's great for his, not only wrestling character, but I think his career too, because he did it when he was Hollywood Rock. It was the same concept, and people were like, oh, who is this guy? He's not a great actor. And then he did the whole heel run. Everyone booed him and they loved it. And then, when he was able to make that turn again, people loved him again. And so I think it's great for his career too.
Absolutely. It's something that I think he's always been sort of on the pulse on, even early on in his career. Definitely. He knew it's not working. and they make him a bad guy, and then it started working because he got to sort of like just roll with it. And I think that's something that I'm noticing with Rock is he's notoriously kind of had the ability to just kind of roll with it. You look at that, pulse. He can roll with, all right, you booing me? All right, let's roll with that. I'll sure, I'll give you a reason to boo. And then eventually it'll, the title turn, probably within a year, they might end up cheering Rock again. Like they might just end up booing Roman, even though he's supposed to be the good guy again, right? Which will just be a funny turn of events that, like, once again, Roman gets put in a position where he's supposed to be cheered and he gets booed. So, but who knows? Who knows? But I just think it's a testament to Rock. I hope it works out. Hopefully there's no injuries. I want everybody to be healthy in the next year because I want this to develop the way that they intended to.
Yeah, I hope Rock is able to give it the time it needs to. The one thing I'll say is, like, again, I hate when people come in and out to build up. And I mean, I'm not expecting to be at every show for the next, 3 months or whatever, but I certainly expect them to be there more than not so we can get this build. And I think it would add a lot of justice to the storyline. So we'll see. I'm curious to see how it all pans out. And you're right. The Rock has his finger on the pulse on a lot of stuff. And I honestly feel like that's why he would be a fantastic politician. Like, I don't know that he would I know he talks about it and doesn't want to do it. That's fine. But I think that's what makes him a great politician, would make him a great politician. So,
yeah, I agree, man.
But I hold on. I got to say this because I meant to say it earlier. Did you, even after the Cody Cries Baby thing, and even with all the, like, people who love Cody, me included, did you think we would hear Rocky sucks that, like, so quickly? I didn't. I did not think you would hear people chanting Rocky sucks like that. That was crazy. Like, talk about boom.
I think it took a lot of people by surprise, including, I think it was Seth Rollins. Like, I did not expect to hear that in 2024. Rocky sucks. But it's a testament to, I think, the people who are Cody faithful, right? The people that just, like, want to see him in there. But
I mean, I consider myself one of those Cody crybabies. I was up in arms over this, but I still don't think I would have been there chanting Rocky sucks. I have enough respect for The Rock. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, I don't love this idea, but at the same time, I still love The Rock. Like, I would have been upset. I wouldn't have been cheering him, but I don't think I would have gone that far.
Yeah, I think people are pretty reactive in today's world, and especially in wrestling for some reason. And I've been guilty of that myself over the years, but I am trying to turn a new leaf in my wrestling fandom and just wait it out. Just wait. It's a story. And we texted about this, and I said, we have 8 weeks. Just relax. Just relax. See what happens. And not a week later, you already got some development that you're happy with. So, like, what the fuck are we complaining about?
Well, listen, it's because wrestling fans invest a lot, especially nowadays. There's so much time you invest into watching this shit. And it's like, if something doesn't happen the way you want it, yeah, you're going to react really, really poorly. And, I'm just so tired of the bait and switch where I've been like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. And then they break your goddamn heart, Mikey. And so when that happens, I have zero faith. I get all anxious because I'm like, oh, they were doing things great. They were doing things great. If you listen to the evolution of our podcast, we essentially created this podcast because we had so much to vent about when we were. And if you go to the beginning, it's us shitting on WWE and loving AEW. We're now 4 years into it, and it has completely shifted. And I didn't think that was even going to be possible, in my opinion. I thought we were just going to be talking about how we hated WWE for the rest of our life.
Yeah, there's been some interesting developments over that 4 years, but it's just, you can't be too reactive with something like this, because I think this kind of perpetuates this notion that we're somehow entitled to whatever we want in wrestling. And that's just not the way wrestling works. And overarchingly, it's not the way life works. You're not going to get everything you want. Mm-hmm. But if you try sometimes, you might just find you get what you need. And we got what we needed last Thursday at the press conference. And I think we'll continue to get what we need week to week. It doesn't mean every move's going to land, but I appreciate the risk that they're taking here. It's a new way that they're trying to tell a story, and I'm there for it. I mean, this is what wrestling's all about. We always complain that it's the same old shit. Well, they're trying new ways to tell stories that, even if the story itself might be similar, the way you tell a story can be very different. So I'm willing to just see where it goes. I don't expect that every note's going to land here, and that's okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being the voice of reason in here and listening to my bitching and moaning. Because Rock was right. I laughed really hard when I heard that Cody Crybabies thing, because I'm sitting here
He's
like,
absolutely right.
100% me. He's like, I guess this 30-something-year-old guy play on the internet. I'm like, oh shit, that's me. God damn it, Rock. Anyways,
wow.
Listen, I think we got some exciting stuff here. One thing I do want to touch on, and we have mentioned it, but our friend Vinny Berry, he's going to be coming on the podcast here soon. If you don't know Vinny Berry, he owns the Wrestleville website, and he's written a few books. Lance by Chance, Wrestleville Volume 1, Volume 2. We've put out some promos on him before. He's been on the show a couple times. Honestly, great friend of the podcast. Really great wrestling fan who loves Deep South wrestling from back in the day. And I know I have personally learned a lot about it just by reading his books. And he just came out with a new book here. I'm going to post it up here. I don't know how to take that banner off. But it is Wrestle Black Bart, and hot off the presses here. We have not yet read it, but we are in the process of it, and we're excited to read it. And we will have Vinny on the show soon, but you can pick up your copy. Just go to wrestleville.com and be sure to check out a copy. I believe they're signed, right, Mikey?
They are signed. We just got our copies. I think that just in the last week or so.
Yeah. And, he also runs a podcast himself, and he gets interviews with a lot of young stars. A lot of them have made it to AEW, WWE. So give him a shot. Check it out. I highly recommend it. If you're a wrestling fan, this is a guy you want to follow. So.
Absolutely. He'll help you keep your finger on the pulse, because he interviews a lot of up and comers that you now see in AEW and in NXT.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I just want to make sure I put that out there, and hopefully we'll have him scheduled here soon, and have him back on the podcast.
Well, this was a jam-packed episode. Any final thoughts, Vito? I feel like we talked about everything.
We did. I don't have any final thoughts. I think we covered pretty much everything we needed to. I got my venting, and you know what? If this was a week ago before this whole thing, it would have been, Anthony just slamming everything WWE. So, I'm glad we waited. And I feel much more calm.
Yeah.
Goose fella.
USA. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really thankful for all the support that we get from you. Please like and subscribe. You can find our YouTube channel. You can find us on the socials down below. You can find everything on our website, struttingfromgorilla.com. Real exciting stuff coming your way. So like we said, we got Vinny Berry is going to be coming back onto the pod at some point and talking about his new book. And we can't wait to share more with you guys on the rocky road to WrestleMania that this is. So until next time, keep on strutting, jabronis.